Yo, what's up, Fame family? Listen, stop whatever you're doing, because this might be the wildest twist yet in the Diddy saga. Word on the street is that Diddy just lost millions, not to the feds, not to a rival, but to the very people who promised to get him a presidential pardon. Yeah, a whole scam. And now the White House itself is calling out his legal team as liars. You can't make this up. They say karma moves slow, but this one's sprinting, because now insiders are whispering that the entire pardon play was nothing but smoke and mirrors, and Diddy's camp might have been the last to know. Before we break it all down, massive love to the Fame Insight family. We just crossed 3,000 subscribers, and that's all you. The energy, the comments, the support, it's unreal. Our next target, 10K strong, and I know we'll hit it together. So hit that like button, drop a comment to boost the algorithm, and subscribe right now so you never miss when the next truth drops. Because after what you're about to hear, you'll want to stay till the end. The real question isn't how much Diddy lost, it's who set him up to lose it. Alright, let's start at the top, because this whole thing plays out like a movie. Except this time Diddy's not directing it. Word from insiders says that once his legal options started running out, Diddy became desperate to secure a presidential pardon. He wasn't just thinking about getting out of jail early. This was about salvaging his legacy, his money, and the tiny bit of control he still thought he had left. So he started calling in favors, contacting people who claimed they had connections to the White House. These weren't randoms. Some were longtime industry insiders, lobbyists, and political fixers who swore they could make things happen. The catch? It wasn't going to be cheap. Now, people close to the situation say Diddy was told it would take donations, legal preparation, and a few private meetings to position him for consideration. Translation? Money? A lot of it. He liquidated assets, moved quiet payments through intermediaries, and even authorized transfers from shell companies tied to his entertainment ventures. But here's the twist. The more money he handed over, the fewer updates he got. His legal team kept feeding him vague promises. Things like, "It's in motion," or "We're waiting on a final word." Meanwhile, the people collecting the checks were vanishing, one by one. And just when Diddy thought the deal was finally about to happen, when he was allegedly told that papers were being reviewed, the real bomb dropped. White House sources leaked that no official pardon discussions ever existed. So now the big question is, was Diddy just played by opportunists? Or did someone inside his own circle set him up to take the fall? Now let's get into the real meat of this, because this wasn't some random street hustle. This was a high-level operation that preyed on Diddy's arrogance and desperation. Sources familiar with the situation say there were at least 3 major players involved, 2 Washington-connected lobbyists, and 1 entertainment industry consultant who acted as the bridge between Diddy's legal camp and the so-called political insiders. The consultant allegedly told Diddy he had a direct line to people who could make the right introductions, people with influence over the pardon review process. The price? Somewhere north of $15 million, just to get in the room. And that didn't even guarantee a result, it just got him considered. That number ballooned fast. One insider said Diddy's team started sending payments in waves, $500,000 here, $1 million there, with the understanding that faster money meant faster progress. His camp was allegedly assured that Trump was aware of Diddy's case, that meetings were being arranged, and that everything was looking good. But when journalists started pressing the White House about any communication regarding a Diddy pardon, that's when things crumbled. That's when panic hit. The so-called middleman reportedly disappeared overseas. One of the lobbyists suddenly stopped taking calls. The remaining contact, the one who'd been closest to Diddy's legal team, turned around and claimed they never promised anything, saying Diddy's lawyers misinterpreted the process. And just like that, the millions were gone. No paper trail, no accountability, no pardon. Here's the kicker though. Word is, Diddy's team tried to spin it. They allegedly told TMZ and a few outlets that talks were still ongoing, just to calm him down and buy time while they figured out how to cover their tracks. But it didn't work, because now, even the White House is stepping in to distance itself. And that's where this story takes a sharp turn. Alright, here's where things go from embarrassing to national news. After weeks of rumors that a deal was in the works, White House officials finally spoke up, and they did not hold back. According to verified insiders, a spokesperson straight up told reporters that no formal discussion or review of any pardon or commutation for Sean Combs has taken place. In plain English, we don't know what these people are talking about. And the word they used to describe Diddy's legal team behind closed doors? Liars, flat out. They accused them of knowingly spreading misinformation to make it seem like something was happening when it absolutely wasn't. That statement hit Diddy's camp like a wrecking ball. Here's what's wild. Diddy's lawyers allegedly had internal emails ready to leak to the press to prove talks were real, but when journalists reached out to verify, none of the names, titles, or meeting requests lined up. Every official contact turned out to be fake, outdated, or connected to someone who had no authority. Even worse, one of the people who claimed to be in direct contact with senior advisors hadn't worked anywhere near Washington for years. They were just using old connections and social media clout to look legit. And when the White House hit back, they didn't just deny the claim, they dropped the hammer. An official insider told a reporter from Rolling Stone that spreading false claims of presidential communication is a federal offense if money was exchanged based on it. Translation: if Diddy's team really paid millions under false pretenses, this might not end with embarrassment. It could turn into another investigation. Now here's where it gets hilarious in a dark way. Diddy, the self-proclaimed master of the deal, got outplayed by people running a glorified PR hustle. For a man who used to brag about outsmarting the system, this is the system cashing the check and laughing on the way to the bank. But it gets worse, because the people who took that money, they didn't just vanish quietly. They're still out there making new moves. Now here's where it really starts to sting, because according to multiple insiders, the real betrayal didn't come from Washington. It came from inside Diddy's own camp. Sources close to the situation say that one of Diddy's longtime associates, someone who's been by his side for over a decade, was quietly feeding information to the so-called pardon brokers. That's right, the person helping Diddy wire millions to trusted intermediaries might have actually been getting a cut of the cash. Apparently, this insider was the one who reassured Diddy that the deal was real. They told him not to worry about White House verification, not to ask too many questions, and to trust the process. Sound familiar? That's the same kind of advice Diddy's been giving his own team for years, and now it's being used against him. Here's what's even crazier. Investigators looking into the financial trail noticed that some of the payments didn't come directly from Diddy's accounts. They came through subsidiaries connected to his media ventures, meaning the insider might have been moving the money under corporate expenses. That makes it harder to trace, but if it's proven, it's fraud, plain and simple. And get this, one of the shell companies listed as a consultant for the pardon campaign has ties to a former member of Diddy's management team. So the question now is, was this just greed or a calculated move to trap Diddy in his own mess? If this turns out to be true, this won't just be a scandal, it'll be the ultimate irony. Diddy, the man who built an empire on control, may have just been controlled by his own people. But there's another layer to this that's even darker, because insiders say the betrayal didn't stop at money. Some of these advisors might have been leaking details about Diddy's legal strategy to prosecutors and the press while pretending to help. So now Diddy's not just broke, he's surrounded, exposed, and second-guessing everyone left in his circle. But here's the cliffhanger: that betrayal might have been part of a much bigger play, because apparently there's someone even higher up who wanted Diddy to fall for this from the start. Now we're getting into the part that feels less like gossip and more like a full-blown Netflix conspiracy thriller, because sources are saying this whole pardon hustle may not have been random at all. According to people close to both the entertainment and political sides of this circus, the so-called pardon operation might have been a setup designed to humiliate Diddy, drain his resources, and permanently ruin his credibility in Washington. Let's connect the dots. Remember when Diddy's team was still pushing the "I'm coming home soon" narrative? Remember all those press leaks about talks with Trump's inner circle? Well, now insiders believe that those leaks weren't accidents. They were bait. Every story that hit TMZ or Rolling Stone about Diddy being close to a deal gave certain political operators exactly what they wanted: a paper trail of lies that would make Diddy look desperate and deceitful when the truth came out. And guess what? It worked perfectly. As soon as the White House publicly denied any talks, every major outlet turned on Diddy's camp, framing them as manipulators who tried to pressure the president. That's not just bad PR, that's political suicide. You can't recover from that level of embarrassment. Now, the theory going around among Diddy's remaining supporters is that one of his friends, someone who used to benefit from his connections, helped arrange the scam to make sure he'd never have power again. Think about it. Diddy's influence used to stretch from music to politics to media. But after this, nobody in DC is touching him. No lobbyists, no allies, no backdoor deals. They wanted to make sure that when Diddy finally hit rock bottom, he stayed there. And the crazy thing? This isn't the first time this kind of move has happened. Remember when certain moguls mysteriously got caught in scandals right after clashing with the wrong people? Same playbook. Smear the name, drain the money, then disappear the story. So here's where things stand. Diddy's broke, humiliated, and surrounded by silence. His friends won't take his calls, his lawyers are ducking press questions, and the people who supposedly arranged his pardon, they're booking flights to Dubai. But there's one more twist to this story, and it's the one nobody saw coming. Because apparently Diddy isn't taking this lying down. Rumor has it he's preparing to go nuclear and expose everyone who played him. So here's the wild part. Everybody thought Diddy was finished, broke, and too embarrassed to ever show his face again. But according to insiders close to the situation, he's not planning to disappear quietly. In fact, people are saying he's gearing up for something that could shake both Hollywood and DC to the core. See, after realizing he got finessed, Diddy reportedly told his remaining team that if he's going down, he's taking everybody with him. He's allegedly gathering receipts, financial records, email trails, NDAs, even old recordings, stuff he swore he'd never show anyone. One insider said it straight up: Diddy's building a nuclear file. And if that's true, then some of the most powerful people in the entertainment and political world are about to have a very bad month. Apparently, this isn't just about revenge, it's about leverage. Diddy knows that even though his empire's crumbling, his secrets still have value. We're talking about decades of business deals, favors, and alliances that could turn into serious problems for people who thought they were untouchable. Now here's where it gets darkly funny, because Diddy, who once said bad boys move in silence, is about to start talking louder than anyone. Reportedly, he's been meeting with documentarians overseas, hinting that he might tell his story uncut. And if that happens, oh, you better believe the internet's not ready for what's coming. But insiders warn, it's risky. There's a reason nobody in his circle wants this to happen. If Diddy starts naming names and showing evidence, he's not just exposing Hollywood, he's potentially reopening investigations that could pull other major figures back into the spotlight. This man might be in survival mode, but he's still strategic. He knows that sometimes the best way to keep the wolves off your back is to remind them you've got the bite to match the bark. Still, here's the kicker. If he really pushes this tell-all or leaks the wrong files, it could backfire big time. He might think it's a power move, but it could just add more legal heat when he's already on thin ice. So now Diddy's stuck between two disasters: stay quiet and look weak, or start talking and make everyone, including himself, burn. But one thing's for sure, if he actually pulls that trigger, this story won't just end with Diddy's name. It's going to blow open an entire network of secrets that the industry has spent years burying. Alright, buckle up, because this is where things go from messy to downright dangerous. Insiders claim that Diddy's nuclear file isn't just some gossip folder, it's a vault, a digital archive he's allegedly been keeping for years. And now that vault might be the only thing keeping him alive in this political and legal war. People close to the situation say it contains everything: emails, call recordings, financial ledgers, surveillance footage, NDAs, and photos that connect the dots between Diddy's empire, his partners, and some of the most powerful names in entertainment and politics. Think about it. A man like Diddy didn't stay on top for decades without keeping a little insurance. And this sounds like his policy. Now here's where it gets real tricky. According to a former associate, the file allegedly includes communication logs with high-level execs, producers, and even political aides. Some of those exchanges reportedly reference campaign donations, party favors, and private meetings that took place at industry events, all under Diddy's watch. And apparently, there's more. Some of the documents allegedly detail consulting agreements that don't make sense on paper, payments routed through shell companies marked as marketing expenses or event sponsorships. But when you follow the money, those same accounts trace back to people now trying to distance themselves from him. If this is true, that means Diddy's got leverage, nuclear-grade leverage. And word on the street is that certain lawyers and fixers are begging him not to release it. They're telling him that once that file hits daylight, it's not just a few bridges getting burned, it's entire city blocks going up in flames. Because here's the catch: once that info drops, the authorities can't ignore it. If there's proof of political money laundering or illegal lobbying, it'll open investigations far beyond just Diddy. But Diddy's response, according to sources, they wanted to play dirty. I invented dirty. Now, whether that's real confidence or just desperation talking, we don't know yet. But one thing's for sure: if this man really unleashes what's in that file, Hollywood might not survive the fallout. And it's not just executives sweating. There are whispers that some big-name artists, the ones who've been quiet through Diddy's downfall, are nervously checking their phones, wondering if they're mentioned in those files too. Because remember, Diddy didn't move alone. He moved in circles with people who were very happy to share in the power, but none of them want to share in the blame. So now the question is simple: will he use it as a shield to survive, or a bomb to make sure nobody else does? Now let me tell you something. When word got out that Diddy might actually have a digital vault full of receipts, the phone lines in Hollywood lit up like Christmas morning. Agents, lawyers, PR firms, and executives, all running crisis meetings trying to figure out just one thing: am I in the file? You can practically feel the panic radiating from Beverly Hills to Capitol Hill. See, people thought Diddy's fall was just another celebrity meltdown. But when whispers started spreading that his insurance file might name politicians, business moguls, and even global investors, that's when the game changed. This stopped being about one man's crimes and started being about the entire system he was part of. Here's what insiders are saying. A few major studios have already instructed their legal teams to review any past contracts or communications tied to Diddy's companies, just in case something embarrassing comes up. And apparently, at least 2 politicians' teams have gone completely silent, refusing to answer press calls about whether they've ever met him privately. Now, don't get it twisted. This isn't guilt, it's fear. The kind of fear that only comes when you realize someone who used to be a friend now has the power to ruin your career with a single upload. One insider close to an LA publicist said it best: If Diddy presses send, half this town's going to need new lawyers. And that's exactly why everyone's scrambling. There are quiet calls being made to crisis PR specialists, NDAs being redrafted, and old messages being deleted faster than you can refresh your feed. People who once swore they didn't even know Diddy are now checking with IT departments to make sure their names don't pop up in any leaked emails or documents. Even the White House reportedly isn't calm about this. Remember, the rumor mill already tied this whole pardon mess to people with connections. If Diddy's vault really includes names tied to that lobbying attempt, it could embarrass more than just the music industry. It could rattle political campaigns right before election season. And yet, in the middle of all this chaos, Diddy's camp is completely silent. No statements, no denials, no nothing. Just radio silence. Which in Hollywood terms is the loudest sound in the world. Now, here's the irony. The same people who once benefited from Diddy's power are now praying that he doesn't use it. Because the moment that vault opens, reputations, careers, and million-dollar deals could vanish overnight. It's like watching sharks realize the ocean they ruled is suddenly turning into a volcano. But here's the thing. Some say Diddy's silence isn't fear, it's calculation. That he's sitting back, watching the panic unfold, waiting for the perfect moment to remind everyone that the game isn't over, it's just beginning. Now, if you thought Diddy was just sitting in a cell stressing, think again. Sources are saying he's actually plotting, like full-on chess moves while the rest of the board is panicking. Here's what's wild. Word is, Diddy's planning to use this chaos as leverage to rebuild his image, and maybe, just maybe, buy himself one last shot at control. See, for most people, a scandal this big would end everything. But Diddy? He's never played by the same rules. When the world's against him, he doubles down. Always has, always will. According to people close to his camp, Diddy's working on a two-phase plan. Phase 1, keep everyone guessing. Leak just enough to remind people that he's got ammunition, but not enough to get buried under new charges. The goal? Make people scared to come for him, not sorry for him. Phase 2, and this is where it gets crazy. Insiders say Diddy's already in talks with overseas media outlets to tell his story, not as an apology tour, but as a redemption arc. You know how it goes. Cue the dramatic lighting, soft piano music, the "I've changed" speech, all while subtly hinting that he's still got dirt on everyone who betrayed him. It's the oldest trick in the fame playbook, turn victimhood into power. But what makes this dangerous is that it might actually work. The public has short memories, and the media loves a comeback. If Diddy can spin this as "I was framed, betrayed, and left for dead," there's a real chance he could start shaping the narrative before the truth ever fully comes out. And that's what terrifies people most. Because a man who's cornered and has nothing left to lose, but still has influence, that's a man who can burn down everything just to watch who runs. Now, a few people inside the industry are saying that some of Diddy's old allies are reaching out again, cautiously, of course. They're not offering friendship, they're offering silence. Keep our names out your mouth, and maybe we can help your image when you're out. That kind of deal. But let's be real, that's not loyalty, that's fear management. Nobody's trying to get hit with Diddy's digital fallout. And the irony? Diddy's milking it. He's acting like the ghost in the machine, untouchable, unpredictable, and still in control. And honestly, maybe that's his best play. Because if he can make the world believe that he's got dirt on everyone, he might not even have to release anything. The fear alone could be his shield. But here's where it gets dangerous. If he pushes too hard, the same people protecting him now could be the ones who destroy him later. Power players don't like being blackmailed, especially by someone they used to own. So now we're left with one big question. Is Diddy playing 4D chess, or is he just bluffing with a busted hand? Either way, the next move he makes could decide whether he walks out of this as a survivor or a legend of his own downfall. Now here's where things start feeling like an episode of House of Cards. Because apparently, behind those prison walls, Diddy's not just pacing around, he's working the phones. Sources close to his legal team say that Diddy's been reaching out through intermediaries, trying to rebuild broken relationships with some of the same people who turned their backs on him. Not because he forgives them, but because he knows they're still valuable. See, this man has built his entire career off two things: access and control. And right now, both of those are slipping through his fingers. But Diddy's smart enough to know that in the power game, enemies can be recycled if the offer's right. Here's what's allegedly happening. Diddy's people are quietly contacting select individuals, high-ranking execs, PR handlers, and even political consultants, offering what he's calling mutual protection. Translation: I won't expose you if you help clean up my name. That's not friendship, that's survival. And according to one insider, these conversations aren't happening in emails or phone calls that can be traced. We're talking encrypted messengers, private proxies, burner accounts. He's learned from every past mistake. He's not leaving trails this time. Now what's wild is that a few of these calls have reportedly reached people who swore they'd never speak his name again. The same industry players who condemned him publicly, some of them are now reconsidering, because if he really does have proof that ties them to any shady dealings, they need to make sure that proof never surfaces. In Hollywood, silence costs money, but exposure costs everything. And that's why we're hearing whispers of offers being made, not in cash, but in influence. Things like, we can spin this story differently, or we'll push this narrative for you if you just let that file stay locked. Think about it. The same journalists who tore him down last month might be writing the untold redemption of Diddy by next spring, if he plays this right. But here's the double-edged sword. These same people can't be trusted. They'll help him if it benefits them, but the moment he slips, they'll bury him again. It's a cold, transactional world, and Diddy knows it better than anyone. So now, it's a poker game. He's bluffing with half a deck, smiling like he's holding aces, and hoping no one calls him out before he rebuilds enough leverage to walk free. And this is where the real power move comes in. Insiders are saying Diddy's not just negotiating for protection, he's negotiating for a platform. That's right, he allegedly wants a controlled comeback, a docu-series, or even a tell-all special where he controls the narrative. Think about it, if he drops that first before any real leaks happen, the story becomes his. He decides what's true, what's exaggerated, and what's just haters trying to bury a black mogul. And that message, it'll resonate. He knows how to play sympathy, how to play legacy, how to play the culture. But the danger? Every move he makes now is being watched, not just by fans or the media, but by the same prosecutors who are probably wondering, if he's doing all this from inside, what else is he still capable of? And that, my friends, might be Diddy's biggest gamble yet, trying to rebuild power in a world that's already decided to erase him. Now here's where the empire really starts to crumble, because the same insiders Diddy's been whispering to, some of them are whispering back, and not to him. That's right, the moment Diddy started trying to rebuild his little web of influence, certain friends decided to secure their safety first. And baby, when people in power get scared, they start singing like they're auditioning for The Voice. Let me tell you how bad it's gotten. Multiple sources, and I mean from separate corners of the industry, have started leaking bits and pieces of Diddy's so-called negotiations, private conversations, messages, even details about which media outlets he's approaching for that comeback story. It's like every favor he tried to cash in just got photocopied and slid under the table to someone else. One insider described it perfectly. He's trying to build a fortress, but he's using people who already sold the blueprints. And honestly, that's exactly what it looks like. Because while Diddy thinks he's rebuilding bridges, his enemies are building receipts, proof that they can use later to distance themselves or feed investigators if things go south again. Let's not forget, this man made a lot of people money, but he also made a lot of people scared. And right now, the scared ones are talking. Some leaks suggest that his insurance file, the mythical vault of names and videos, might not even exist in full. It could be a bluff he's been using for leverage. But see, now that rumor's been flipped against him, people are leaking fake info claiming they've seen what's in it, painting him as more dangerous than ever. So even when Diddy says nothing, the legend of his secrets is being weaponized against him. That's poetic justice, if you ask me. And it gets deeper. Apparently, there are now two rival factions forming inside his own circle. One group is loyal, still believing he can flip this whole mess into a comeback. The other, they've already started looking for deals, talking to the press behind the scenes, maybe even cutting agreements with prosecutors for immunity if the case ever expands. It's like watching a ship sink in slow motion while half the crew's stealing the lifeboats. But the real punchline? Diddy doesn't even know who's snitching. He's still moving pieces, still making plans, and every time he does, someone on the inside leaks it within 24 hours. That's why all these TMZ exclusives keep popping up. Somebody's cashing in on Diddy's downfall. Now, here's the thing. When powerful people start losing control of their story, it's over. Diddy's entire empire was built on control. Control of narrative, of image, of people. And now, every time he makes a move, somebody else gets the headline. He's not the puppet master anymore, he's the puppet, and someone else is pulling the strings. And if these leaks keep coming, it's only a matter of time before something really damaging drops, something that no lawyer, no lobbyist, and no PR fixer can spin away. Because at this point, Diddy's biggest enemy isn't the media or the law, it's the people who used to cheer for him, now quietly making sure they're nowhere near when the curtain falls. Alright y'all, buckle in, because this is where everything Diddy's been trying to hide finally starts slipping through the cracks. The leaks we've been hearing whispers about, they're not whispers anymore, they're headlines. According to multiple reports, people close to Diddy's own team have started handing over what they call protective material. That's a polite way of saying evidence. Files, messages, call logs, and even financial records. And apparently some of this stuff is already in the hands of investigative journalists and law enforcement. Now what's really wild is that these leaks didn't come from enemies. They came from people who used to be in his inner circle. Assistants, business partners, and even legal consultants who got tired of feeling like they'd go down with him. One insider told a source, "It's survival mode now. Everyone's looking out for themselves." Let's be honest, loyalty is cute until subpoenas start flying, and that's exactly what's happening. Sources say at least one of Diddy's former aides flipped completely, giving up a timeline of events that allegedly connects him to the web of cover-ups he thought were buried. We're talking dates, transfers, burner numbers, everything. Is it's true, Diddy's situation just went from media crisis to legal meltdown, because once prosecutors get that kind of inside roadmap, they don't just investigate, they corroborate. And you know what that means? Every phone call, every message, every deal he thought was gone might resurface in black and white. Here's where it gets even darker. Reports are surfacing that certain journalists have been approached with exclusive material about Diddy's activities. But these reporters are hesitant. Why? Because nobody wants to get caught publishing something that could put them in legal crossfire. The result? A quiet bidding war for the truth. Whoever breaks the next story could end Diddy's legacy for good. And everyone in the industry knows it. But see, Diddy's not the kind of man to sit still while his world burns. The minute the first leak dropped, his lawyers went into emergency mode. They've started issuing cease and desist letters to anyone even remotely tied to the leaked info. One media source said they've already received multiple warnings, all worded like threats with a touch of panic. And honestly, that panic says it all. Because when someone like Diddy, who used to run the room with confidence, starts begging lawyers to silence stories, you know the control is gone. This is the point where perception becomes poison. The more Diddy tries to contain it, the more the internet runs wild with speculation. People are dissecting his old interviews, lyrics, and even archived footage like detectives looking for hidden messages. And social media? Oh, it's having a field day. Hashtags like Diddy leaks and bad boy fallout are trending everywhere. Memes, theories, fake screenshots. The chaos is feeding itself, and Diddy's PR team can't catch up. So now, the man who once controlled the narrative is trapped inside it. Every move he makes adds fuel to the fire. Every denial gets fact-checked by a dozen sources. And the world? They're watching every second of his downfall like it's a season finale. But here's the craziest part. Sources say Diddy might not be done yet. Word is, he's sitting on something big. A final play. A last-ditch attempt to flip this entire situation and take down a few people with him. And if what's coming next is what insiders claim, this story is about to go nuclear. Alright y'all, if you thought Diddy was just gonna sit back and let the world roast him alive, think again. The man might be cornered, but he's not quiet. And that's what makes this next part crazy. Because now, it looks like Diddy's flipping the script. And if the rumors are true, he's about to drag everybody who ever tried to bury him down with him. Multiple insiders, and I'm talking people who've been reliable before, are claiming that Diddy's team is working on a massive counter-leak operation. Yeah, you heard that right. Not a defense, not a statement, not a denial, a counter-leak. Apparently, Diddy's been collecting his own receipts for years. We're talking text messages, NDAs, off-the-record deals, and files that connect a few of your favorite industry names to the kind of behavior that could destroy reputations overnight. And here's the kicker. Some of those names reportedly belong to the same people who've been smiling for cameras, pretending they had nothing to do with him since the fallout started. One insider said he's not fighting for freedom anymore. He's fighting for legacy. If he goes down, he wants to make sure everybody else goes with him. Now, let's unpack that, because that kind of desperation is dangerous. When someone with that much information and that little to lose decides to start swinging, that's when careers start collapsing like dominoes. Apparently, his team has been strategically leaking small pieces of harmless info to see who reacts. It's a loyalty test. If a story leaks right after he tells someone, boom, he knows they're the rat. Once he's done mapping who's betraying him, he's planning to drop something real. And I mean real. We're talking industry party footage, secret payments, hush contracts, things that if made public could make this Diddy scandal look like a warm-up round. Now here's where things get really wild. Some of the people allegedly mentioned in those files are already panicking. A few PR agencies have reportedly started prepping reputation crisis teams. Basically, they're putting out preemptive fires for something that hasn't even dropped yet. So what does that tell you? These folks know Diddy's capable of pulling it off. And while he's sitting there in that cell watching his empire crack, insiders say he's plotting moves like a chess grandmaster, sacrificing pawns, watching who panics, and preparing to move the queen. This isn't about revenge anymore. It's about rewriting history before someone else writes his ending. But here's the tragic irony. This move could either save him or completely annihilate what's left of his legacy. Because once he releases those names, once he exposes those files, there's no going back. Every bridge burns, every ally vanishes, every secret becomes a weapon, He's trying to play savior and executioner at the same time, and that's a dangerous combination. Now, the word on the street is that one of those insurance files, the ones everyone said didn't exist, might actually be scheduled to drop soon. But the question is, who's pulling the trigger? Because if Diddy doesn't make that call himself, somebody else might. And that, my friends, is where we leave it, for now. Because if these whispers about the insurance file are even halfway true, what's about to drop isn't just another scandal. It's a bomb big enough to shake the entire entertainment world. We're talking names, money trails, secret meetings, the kind of truth people spend fortunes trying to bury. But here's the thing, truth always finds a way to leak out. And when it doesn't knock politely, it blows the door off the hinges. Now, if you've been rocking with Fame Insight since the beginning, you already know. We don't chase clout, we chase clarity. We ask the questions everyone's too scared to ask, and we bring you the details they don't want you to see. So before you go, make sure you like this video so more people hear the truth. Comment your thoughts below, because your voice keeps this conversation alive, and subscribe because the next drop, it's gonna be wild. We're already past 3,000 subscribers, and I can't thank y'all enough for helping build this movement. Every time you share a video, you push the truth a little further into the light. And trust me, this story isn't ending here, it's only getting messier. So stay locked in, stay curious, and stay watching. Because at Fame Insight, we don't just cover the story, we expose the system behind it. I'll see y'all in the next one.